Hey everyone, PushingUpRoses here, and I have something very special for you today. And when I say special, I mean baffling, boring, and bonkers, the 3 Bs. We're looking at the incredible flop that is the Ferris Bueller TV show.
Ferris Bueller!
You are no doubt familiar with Ferris Bueller's Day Off, a John Hughes coming-of-age story about a young man's adventurous journey in Chicago while carrying out a complex scheme to play hooky from school and foil anyone who gets in the way. It's full of grand shenanigans, humor, and some touching moments, typical of the John Hughes format. It stars Matthew Broderick as Ferris Bueller, Mia Sara as Sloane Peterson, Ferris's girlfriend, Jennifer Grey as Jeannie, Ferris's sister, and Alan Ruck as Ferris's best friend Cameron. It's definitely a beloved film that did well when it was released, so perhaps that's why someone had the idea for a Ferris Bueller TV show. Sounded good on paper, ended up like a disappointing wilted head of lettuce in execution. Before we continue, I want to give a quick shout out and thank you to my friend Luke over at rock.net for finding this show for me to review. Without him, I would have never known it existed, so thank you. I think. He's a great pal and producer, so if you like all things music, go check him out. The show, simply titled Ferris Bueller, debuted on NBC on August 23rd, 1990, about 4 years after the film. John Hughes didn't want anything to do with the project, and none of the original characters reprised their role for the show, so we're off to a great start. It stars Charlie Schlatter as Frankie Valli as Ferris Bueller.
Life is one damn thing after another. Mark Twain said that after he changed his name.
Amy Dolenz as Sloane Peterson, Richard Ryle as Principal Rooney, and an unknown Jennifer Aniston as Jeannie Bueller. Schlatter has a very prolific acting career, particularly in voice. Amy Dolenz, the daughter of the goofy monkey, Mickey Dolenz, has been in several movies over the years. Ryle has been in a number of things, but I immediately clocked him from Office Space, and Jennifer Aniston, of course, is known for Horrible Bosses and Horrible Bosses Only. So you're probably wondering how this show ties into the film. Well, the first episode tells you that.
Matthew Broderick as me? No way.
Before anything else happens, Ferris tells the audience in a fourth wall-breaking scene that the movie is based off of his life and goes on to mock a cardboard cutout of Matthew Broderick. Wow, way to just shit all over the source material.
This is television. This is real.
Ferris goes on to tell the audience a few things about his life and mentions that there's a new girl, Sloane Peterson, transferring to his high school. Right, okay, so let me get this straight. The movie, where Sloane already existed and was dating Ferris, was inspired by this Ferris's real life where another girl named Sloane just happened to exist.
We're about to fall in love. Now all we have to do is meet.
How'd that stretch feel? Did you pull something? Let me take you through the first episode as briefly as I can. The first big change you'll notice is that we are no longer in Chicago. The show takes place in Santa Monica, California. And if you know anything about John Hughes, you'll know how much of an insult that really is to his work. I'm not necessarily against a new location, but Chicago was such an important place for Hughes himself. He once said, "Chicago is what I am," and went on to say that Ferris Bueller's Day Off was his love letter to the city. He specifically chose the Art Institute for Cameron's identity crisis scene and this sweet moment with Ferris and Sloane, referring to it as a refuge of his. The entire movie is really about this journey through the city, so to have the show set in Santa Monica really takes away some of that John Hughes magic. After Ferris destroys his weird Matthew Broderick cutout, he introduces the audience to his sister Jeannie in the way of making fun of her appearance.
She has a car and a nose job.
Mention of her nose job comes back several times, by the way. You know, for humor. After a brief intro of the other main characters, the theme starts up.
Ferris Bueller! Ferris Bueller!
Oh god. Look, intros don't necessarily have to be flashy, but was green screening Ferris walking in and out of buildings the best choice? You didn't have an actual building you could film? Get used to this music because it is non-stop and it is obnoxious. I heard this guy shout Ferris Bueller so many times in varying ways that I wanted to die.
Ferris Bueller! Ferris Bueller! Ferris Bueller! Ferris Bueller! Bueller! Ferris Bueller! Ferris Bueller! Ferris Bueller!
The MIDI music also makes me want to boot up a JRPG. I feel like I'm being introduced to an important character right now. Fun fact, Jonathan Lynn directed this episode, the director of cult classic movie Clue. Oh, how the mighty have fallen. Everyone has breakfast together before the parents go off to work, and Jeannie and Ferris go to high school. There is something wrong with these parents in the way that they have very flat characteristics.
Honey, will you do me? You never have to ask.
Oh, what now?
Your skin is as milky white as the day we met. Ferris.
What is going on in this family? Jeannie tells Ferris to keep a low profile at school, and he ignores that completely by taking a limo to school, best friend Cameron in tow. Rome, a popular song by new wave supergroup the B-52, starts playing, and really? You could afford to get mainstream pop music for this show, but you kept this abomination of a theme song? They take a detour to the beach and are late for a, quote, state of the school address to be given by Principal Ed Rooney. He hears a student heckling him and decides to expel someone.
You, up here.
Oh no, Ed, that's the wrong student.
Close enough.
Rooney is a bumbling fool character, always foiled by Ferris, and Grace is just kind of grandmotherly, which is too bad. Her character in the movie was so cute and vibrant. The show just sucks the soul right out of her. As Rooney is about to expel a random student for no reason, Ferris presses a button on a remote control and he falls through the platform. Rooney seems to know that Ferris did it, and yet doesn't punish him. The majority of the episode shows Ferris pestering Sloane for attention. He hacked himself into all of her classes, creepy, so he could get close to her. I find this frog dissection scene in the first episode baffling because later on, Sloane refuses to dissect a frog during biology, and it becomes the main plot for that episode. I guess the writers didn't think that far ahead. Eventually, Sloane gives in and agrees to go to the beach with him, showing that if you harass someone enough, you can get the girl. Amy Dolenz is lovely, but this was such a miscast for Sloane. In the film, Sloane was just as mischievous and confident as Ferris. They were partners in crime. In the show, Sloane is a meek, soft-spoken girl who has dreams of being a ballerina, but is tragically clumsy. Aw, look, she tripped and fell. Isn't that relatable, ladies? They're caught coming back from the beach by Rooney, and Ferris tells him they were at the hospital getting Sloane's tonsils checked out. Rooney threatens Sloane with a bunch of permanent record bullshit. She panics and tells him the truth. Rooney is about to expel Ferris, but Ferris says he wants to call his attorney, who is, of course, fake, and because it happens off screen, we have absolutely no idea what he did or said to get Rooney to fold. He was able to lessen the punishment to detention, which Ferris also forgoes. He ditches his best friend to hang out with Sloane, who apologizes to Ferris for telling the truth. She informs him that due to his encouragement, she'll be transferring to a performing arts school. As they walk away into the sunset, Ferris tells her he has a bad back and can't carry her books. So she carries his bag. Phew, lying about a medical condition so you don't have to do something nice for someone really churns my butter. The episode ends with a lot of monologue from Ferris, recapping the day and giving some flimsy words of advice that quickly get overshadowed by some attempted humor.
If Mom and Dad give you a hard time, it's only because they've been there. And they do love you. Warts and all. Which reminds me, I gotta see a dermatologist.
Now that I've taken you through that, let's just talk about the series as a whole, because the subsequent episodes are not that much different. In fact, by the 13th and final episode, I was so bored, I wasn't even sure if I could watch it. The format is always the same. It always starts with Ferris talking to the camera, then he goes downstairs to chat with his parents, Jeannie comes in and squashes the mood, then high school shenanigans happen. Some of the themes are really heavy-handed. For example, the second episode shows Ferris campaigning to be school president, and it gets oddly political.
To Dukakis.
Because I have a garbage brain and this here skull, my mind thought he was talking about Olympia Dukakis. I was like, hey now, leave my queen out of this. In episode 4, it's all about talent. In episode 5, it's about respecting people's boundaries, to which I say, yeah, right, as if. So one of the great parts about Ferris Bueller's Day Off, as well as most John Hughes coming-of-age stories, is how the characters grow with each other. The movie takes time for heartwarming interactions, difficult moments with meaningful conflict, and growth. In the show, Ferris continually uses people like Sloane and Cameron to get what he wants, as well as other high school randos that pop up in the series. What the? Is that guy 40? He's more of a Zach Morris type from Saved by the Bell. You know how Zach becomes aggressively jealous and possessive of Kelly Kapowski throughout the series? Ferris resembles that. Instead of encouraging Sloane to pursue her dreams, he conducts plans to keep her at their high school, and then later on discourages her from dancing by blatantly saying she isn't good at it.
You think I can't dance?
It's not a question of can, it's a question of people who can better.
The show tries to insist that Ferris is growing throughout these episodes, becoming more mature, but he literally convinces Principal Rooney to develop their own dance program at the school so Sloane won't go to the prestigious art school she had been dreaming about, and this is all portrayed as fine and dandy. The characters are just very unlikable. It's amazing how few fucks I give about any of them. I think Charlie Schlatter and Jennifer Aniston are great performers, even in this show, but they're only as good as the writing, and the writing is sewage. I'm not going to say the movie was this amazing piece of comedy. It was fine for its intended audience, but the show is negative funny. I'm not even sure the writers fully understood the structure of a joke.
My sister. I think I'll trade her.
I hate that statue. I despise it. Well, I detest it.
Is your sister really as fun as all the skinheads say?
Tramp.
Crickets is right. That isn't to say that every lighthearted quip didn't stick. Some did. It's one of those even a broken clock is right twice a day kind of deals. For the most part though, the clock is broken. On top of the bad writing are the baffling artistic choices like the editing and the music. I've already mentioned the crazy sounding MIDI songs that make me feel like I've just found someone's gold medallion in an adventure game, and that's bad enough, but it's also used inappropriately. The tone never matches what is happening in the show. Imagine I had something serious to say, then threw in some jaunty circus music in the background. Hey everyone, I just want to inform you that my great-great Aunt Mildred died peacefully in her sleep yesterday. She was known for her 50 years of charity work, dedication to homeless shelters, and her relationship with her dog, Snickerdoodle, and I will just miss her so much. In regards to the editing and directing, Ferris is always talking to the camera. Imagine Saved by the Bell, but it's all just timeouts with Zach Morris. The camera is always cutting to Ferris, and I never know where he is relative to other people. Sometimes it just looks so bizarre. In the film, Ferris does famously talk to the camera, but it's used more sparingly because nobody just wants to hear this kid monologue for 2 hours.
Help me here. I'm drowning.
But mostly, I think this idea flopped because nobody is interested in the daily life of Ferris Bueller. The charm of the film comes from the fact that it is just one amazing day of grand adventure. Putting it into sitcom form just gets exhausting. Even if the writing was better, I still think the format would get tiring. According to Jennifer Aniston, the dynamic between her character and Ferris started to feel incestuous because she and Charlie Schlatter cultivated a relationship while they filmed the series, and after watching the whole thing, I can honestly say that yes, it's a bit of a weird dynamic. But to be honest, everyone has a weird dynamic in this show. There's a couple weird romances that take place throughout the series. Jeannie and Cameron share a moment in one episode, then it's never referenced again, and there's a weird relationship between Grace and Principal Rooney. The creators really tried to spark interest in this show with some well-known guest stars, Cloris Leachman, Buddy Hackett, and Tone Loc, but due to poor ratings and low viewership, it was cancelled after 13 episodes. Another thing that may have contributed to the show's downfall was the fact that there was already a Ferris Bueller-like sitcom airing at the exact same time called Parker Lewis Can't Lose. Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Parker Lewis Can't Lose. Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Parker Lewis Can't Lose. Huh, same syllable count and everything. And check out the synopsis. Parker Lewis is a teenager who apparently can't lose. He's cool, cute, popular, hip, and seems to get away with anything. That's not to say he's got no problems. His nemesis is his high school principal, Grace Musso, whose sole purpose in life seems to be getting Parker expelled. Then there's Parker's little sister, Shelley, whose sole purpose in life seems to be tattling on Parker. However, with best friends Mikey and Jerry, Parker takes on the world and makes the best of high school. It's the exact same thing! It's so blatant it feels like plagiarism. So that was the crash and burn of the disastrous Ferris Bueller TV show. This is definitely a strange, forgotten piece of media, and if you're curious to watch it after this video, go ahead, but be warned, it is not funny, it is not heartwarming, and it is not Ferris Bueller's Day Off. If you're one of the 12 people who saw this series, let me know what you thought about it, especially if you saw it when it aired. Until next time, remember, life moves pretty fast. If you don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it.
Ferris Bueller.
Hey everyone! everyone, thanks for watching my video on the short-lived Ferris Bueller television show. I hope you enjoyed it. If you want to see more content from me, I have plenty of other videos, but first I want to give a quick shout out to my patrons because without them, doing videos like this would be way more insufferable. If you're interested in supporting me and my channel, please consider joining my campaign, and if not, likes and comments cost nothing but a moment. If you want to see more from me, here's a few recommendations. On the right, I have an episode from my flagship series, That Time on Murder, She Wrote, and on the left, I have a short and sweet video game review on a detective game I very much enjoyed. Thanks again, and as always, I'll see you in the next one.